is a husband, he's a father of 3 young children, and he is here today to lead us through our program. Ladies and gentlemen, would you put your hands together and greet our MC for the day, Mr. Stephen Holt.
Hi, everybody. How's it going today? Good to see everybody. Thank you for being here. And Dr. Brian, thank you for the introduction as well. I apologize. I'm not a sports guy. I'm not a sports anchor. I feel like someone from the sports department should be here. I'm a news guy. I love sports, though. I love fantasy sports. That's the extent of my sports managerial experience. But I'm happy to be here with all of our great speakers this afternoon and be with all of you to talk about new opportunities and new markets in sports. As we get our program going this afternoon, I want to bring to you now my pleasure to introduce our oratorical presenter. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Gabriel Gaitherite.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gabriel Gaitherite, and I will be reciting Fall Forward by Denzel Washington. I've found that nothing in life is worthwhile unless you take risks. Nothing. Nelson Mandela said, "There is no passion found in playing small and settling for a life that's less than the one you're capable of living." Now, I'm sure in your experience with school, with applying to college and picking your major and deciding what you will do in life, someone has told you to make sure you have something to fall back on. Make sure you have something to fall back on, honey. But I've never understood that concept. If I'm going to fall, I don't want to fall back on anything except my faith. I want to fall forward. I figure at least I will be able to see what I'm going to hit. Here's what I mean. Reggie Jackson struck out 2,600 times in his career, the most in the history of baseball. But people don't remember the strikeouts. They remember the home runs. Fall forward. Thomas Edison conducted 1,000 failed experiments. Did you know that? Neither did I. Because the 1,001st was the light bulb. Every failed experiment is one step closer to success. And you have to be willing to take risks. I know you've probably heard that before, but I want to talk about why that's important. I've got 2 reasons, and then you can pick up your iPhones. First, you will fail at some point in your life. Accept it. You will lose. You will embarrass yourself. You will suck at something. There's no doubt about it. I know that's not the traditional message for a business luncheon, but hey, I'm telling you to embrace it because it's inevitable. Here's my second point about failure. If you've never failed, then you're not even trying. Someone once told me, to get something you never had, you have to do something you never did. To not only take risks, but to be open to life, to be open to new opinions and new views, to be willing to speak at a sports luncheon in front of so many people in the most beautiful city in the world, even though you're scared stuff. Now, it may be frightening, but it will also be rewarding because the chances you take, the people you meet, the people you love, and the faith that you have, that's what's going to define your life. And that is what is going to propel you to fall forward. Thank you, Rainbow Push Excel, for this great opportunity. And everyone have a good day.
Let's hear one more time for Gabriel Gaitherite right there. He's going to be a senior in high school. That was outstanding. Very well done. So we're going to keep things rolling this afternoon. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce our first honoree this afternoon. Dr. Valerie Daniels Carter is one of the most preeminent business owners in the United States. In addition to owning several restaurants and restaurant branded operations in the United States, she's been widely recognized for her business ingenuity. She's the president and CEO of V&J Foods Holding Companies, Inc., a multi-brand, multi-state operation recognized as the largest female-owned franchise organization in the nation. Dr. Daniels Carter's quick service restaurant empire operations are comprised of Auntie Anne's Soft Pretzels, Burger King, Coffee Beanery, Nino's Southern Sides, My Oh My Frozen Yogurt, Pizza Hut, and Captain D's Seafood, along with numerous real estate ventures. Prior to establishing V&J Holding Company, she worked in banking and finance. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Valerie Daniels Carter.
Thank you so much, and it is my honor and my joy to be with you all today. And I just stopped by to say to Reverend Jackson and to the entire Rainbow Push family, you just don't know what you've created until you can see the results of what God has put in front of your face and it grows. Why do I say that? Because I am a creation of starting with a dream, but allowing a man like Reverend Jackson to water and help me to flourish and grow. And you never forget the bridge that helps you to cross to where you're trying to go. So all John and Jeanette had to say to me was, Reverend said, and I was going to be there. Why was I going to be there? Because Reverend said. Because Reverend Jackson is a man that fights for the underserved. He has marched in civil rights movements all across this world. He battles for equity and equality and justice. He has created and continues to create and make kings and queens of you and me. He has challenged CEOs in corporate boardrooms across America. He impacts established communities. He impacts natural families. He impacts spiritual kingdom. He transcends generations through empowerment and reformation. He is the Reverend Jackson. He has the ability to see what you and I cannot see. When I was a young girl, just starting out wanting to be in business, many did not see what I saw. Reverend Jackson powered and partnered me up with a little warrior named Reverend Barrow. Anybody in this room know Reverend Barrow? I think we all know Reverend Barrow. And her life and her legacy will always be remembered because I am the tall Reverend Barrow. Because I understand what it takes to navigate through my assignment. Greatness is not who you are. Greatness is what you do. And if you don't have the capacity to create greatness, then you're just marching on the road. I want you to know that today, Reverend, I'm here because you just didn't march on the road. You saw a little girl, quite skinnier than I was. You know, I got a few pounds on me now, but a little girl that had ambition, a little girl that had desire, a woman that had been educated through the schools of hard knocks. And you said, you can do it. And you opened up a door for me that I shall never forget. You made a champion out of me. And today I'm here to acknowledge the fact that because you made a champion out of me, I've been able to navigate through my assignment with the help of God. Because I've never seen the righteous forsaken. I've never seen his seed beg bread. Tonight and today I come to let everybody know it wasn't the Green Bay Packers. It wasn't the Bucks that made the championship. You know, they won the championship. And when I was leaving my house today, I said, Reverend Jackson made a champion. The Bucks gave me my championship ring. So I'm going to take this ring today. Now, Reverend, you can't keep this ring. I know. It says Valerie Daniels Carter right here. But I brought this ring for you to wear through the luncheon so everybody knows that you're a champion maker and you make champions out of us.
Valerie Daniels Carter, everybody. Thank you very much, Valerie. Our next presenter is Scott Rochelle. He's the president and CEO of the National Basketball Retired Players Association. And in his role as president and CEO, Rochelle oversees the Retired Players Association's day-to-day operations, including securing new cutting-edge partnerships for former players so they can thrive and prosper beyond their basketball careers. Scott is a rising star in the basketball world, working closely with the NBA executive team to guide revenue-generating and philanthropic programs that involve some of the greatest names in the sport of basketball. He is rewriting the business strategy of the Retired Players Association and has the support of the NBA and the NBPA. He currently serves as a member of the Nominating and Corporate Governance Committee for the U.S. Centers for Safe Sport and has served as a board trustee for the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame since 2018. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Scott Rochelle.
All right, Dr. Bryant, you've got me following Valerie Daniels Carter. I think someone set me up. I'm good. All right. Well, first of all, thank you for having me here. Again, Dr. Bryant, thank you so much. If you know Joe Bryant, you know he works very hard on this program. I've been doing it for about 6 years now, and we have impactful conversations here, so it's great to be back. It's great to speak. Rev, I haven't seen you since the Cleveland All-Star Weekend when we honored you with the Legends Brunch. It's good to see you back. Again, my name is Scott Rochelle, and I'm the president and CEO of the NBRPA, the National Basketball Retired Players Association. We're based here in Chicago as a 501c3 that is funded by the NBA to handle all things transition for former NBA, WNBA, the old ABA, and even Harlem Globetrotters. In our mission, we're here to serve the community as well as give our players the opportunity to transition in a holistic, very successful way. What does that look like? We have members in their 20s, members in their 90s. It's a very diverse group, and much of what we do now really is based on the business, and we're here to talk about the business of sports. Good news for us is that business is booming. It's not just that the business world has embraced players, but players have embraced the business world. If you look at what we've seen in the past couple of weeks, Draymond Green won the NBA championship, and what did he do immediately afterwards? He recorded a podcast. Players are now actively owning their brand, owning their business, owning their messaging, and putting it out directly in formats that you can see, you can understand. There's no filtering. There's no trying to figure out what the media is trying to spin there. Players are giving it to you directly. And that's really at the center of the business world for professional athletes now. You see LeBron James running movie theaters, movie production. You see his movies in theaters. You see Andre Iguodala doing so much in the tech space. This is trickling down to all the athletes. And this is leadership that we're seeing from professional athletes who are actively playing now, retiring well, and then passing along with other generations. So you see us in the memorabilia space, the video game space. When you play and your kids play NBA 2K and you see a former player in that game, that player receives a check twice a year. And we're paying out about 8 to 9 figures annually in royalties to those players. Those players are staying in the game, which is very important for us as an association to keep them relevant, to keep them active, but to be more than just a basketball player. So for so many years, we had players who wanted to go into coaching and broadcasting. Now we have players that are going into education. Business, as always, has been something players want to get into. What about investing? What about owning media companies and using your voice in the right way? So that's what we are as an association. We have 12 chapters across the country, 1,500 members nationwide. Again, we're based here in Chicago, but we're doing work globally. And with the 1,500 members that we have, it really is nice to see that when we do have social events and bring people together, everyone comes out, whether you're old or young, because everyone has one thing in common. They've all played the game at a high level, and they've all been a part of a team. The NBRPA is essentially that team. We're extending the locker room, keeping the players engaged, and through that, we're able to maximize business opportunities and give players the opportunity to finish education, build out a new career, figure out what's next for them. You talk about someone who's 30 years old who's retired. They haven't retired, they're just transitioning. So we help them figure out what is next. And we rely on partnerships with Rainbow Push to help us get this messaging out. Many of the players we work with are very involved in this association. Rev, thank you for your leadership there. Had we had a normal year and not the pandemic, I'd have players here with me right now. But we look forward to the future. Look forward to working with you all and really building out the next 25 years with us. This is our 30th year. And so we're looking to the future. We want to make sure that our players are in the best possible position to transition well. Thank you.
Sorry about that. All right, next on the stage this afternoon is Erica Fay, founder of Maximum Achievement Coaching. She's passionate about helping athletes create their ideal results on and off the field. As a psychotherapist, a best-selling author, and a success coach, she spent over 20 years working with professional and amateur athletes and entrepreneurs all around the world, specializing in delivering inspiring workshops, as well as transformational, in-depth coaching programs with a dynamic approach that turns ideas into life-changing action. This is all to help clients achieve new heights of success. Erica has appeared on Good Day Chicago. She's been featured the Best Coaches series on Best U TV. She's a former athlete at Purdue University and continues her athletic pursuits, competing 2 full Ironman distance triathlons, 36 marathons, and multiple marathon and triathlons per year. Ladies and gentlemen, Erica Fay.
Thank you, Reverend Jackson, for having me, and Dr. Bryan for having me. It's a pleasure to be here with you all at the Rainbow Push Coalition. I'm so thrilled to be here, and hopefully this will be the first of many. So when you think about mental health, what comes to mind? I like to say that mental health is just a kind of a blanket statement for overall well-being. And if you think about this, our minds can be our greatest ally, or they can be our greatest terrorist if we don't train them. So that is one of the things I'm highly passionate about. As a licensed marriage and family therapist, and also as a performance and mindset coach for athletes, what I've seen is that we can never outperform our own self-image. This has been written about by psychologists, and specifically Maxwell Maltz, the founder of self-image psychology. But if you think about any self-limiting beliefs, if you don't see yourself as a person who can go out and achieve great dreams, or a person who can take action on the desires of their heart and turn them into life-changing action, like Dr. Reverend Jesse Jackson has done. Each and every one of us has that seed of greatness within us, but unless we actually nurture it and do something about it, we won't be able to contribute in the way that we're meant to contribute. So that's something that I'm really highly passionate about, is supporting athletes specifically. They're the demographic that I'm really passionate about serving, to not only succeed both in and out of their sport, but also when their sport ends, they have the right to have a new dream. And as long as we're breathing, life isn't done with us yet. So that's one of the things that I really enjoy in terms of really igniting the fire of the dream with athletes and invoking that ability to contribute and use their platforms for something greater than themselves. So this is going to be brief, and I just would love to leave you with this, that you have the power to achieve great goals and great dreams in your life as well. But it won't happen if you don't pay attention to the longings of your heart, nurture the things that light you up and make you passionate and get you out of bed in the morning. Take a look at what your personal assets are. We're all used to, facilitating and looking at our investments and real estate and things like that, but each and every one of us has personal assets that we really can benefit from shining the light of awareness on, and then ask ourselves, how can we bring this to the world to have a greater impact, whether it be just on your family, on your team, on your community, or even on the world. So it's my honor to be here today. Thank you so much for having me.
Erica Fay, thank you very much. Before we get to our keynote speaker of the afternoon, I'd like to invite Reverend Jesse Jackson to share some words about baseball, which will be a theme we're talking about here in a little bit. Reverend Jackson?
So I am
Somebody.
I am
Somebody.
respect me, protect me, never neglect me. I am somebody. My mind can conceive it. My heart can believe it. I know I can achieve it. I am somebody. I'm God's child. All things are possible. Nothing is too hard for God. Nothing is too hard for God. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Hear you scream.
You got to push back and accept it. He wants to make sure everybody can see him.
Thank you so much. Give John Breeze a big hand for working the hell out of me. Mr. President, thanks for all of you being here today in a big way for giving me much of the time from Greenville, South Carolina. Mr. Corbett, give him a big hand. Thank you, Joe. Recognize what people, Auburn case was a great case this year. A man killed by police. They lied, fell into a large crisis. The news is all white jury in Georgia. Yet somehow, as America grows and gets better, they convicted the killers. Auburn family police said his father's here. Give him a hand. Members of our board, chairman of the board, Mr. C.K. Hopper, saying, C.K. Members of our board, saying. Young Graves, C.S., members of our board. My brother beloved just dropped a bombshell yesterday. You know, when they're gonna be a bomb, because the bomb shelter, and they're running to avoid the bomb. So Reverend Meeks dropped the bomb in the church yesterday. He was out of the shelter. He's gonna retire in this December with another pastor at the church. That's a bomb. That Reverend Meeks is a bomb dropper. Vice President of our Religious Affairs Division, thank you. Also Baltimore here, Vice President of our administration, Reverend Todd Geary from Baltimore. You're here. And head of Push, United States Grant, thank you, Seth Du Bois Jackson. It was privileged placed by a man named Jonathan Jackson running for Congress. Got that passed. Few things about baseball. Jack Robinson, I think Jack Robinson has been miscast across the years. When we see him as a baseball player who did daring things, more. On the baseball field, magnificent player. The thing is, Jacker, he transformed American culture. For the one, he was in the military. He at UCLA, and then football, basketball, baseball, and track, 4 lessons in 1 year. The military, he flew on the back of a bus on the base. 41, 14 years before Rose Park. He must have been military in 46, went to Montreal, 47. He played baseball for the Dodgers. That's where it starts. And Trigger said to him, given the racism in the country, the culture, you'll have a lot of trial and tribulation on the field. You'll have to agree for 3 years that you will take it and not fight back. In the field, you cannot fight back. You cannot even tell the press what's happening. So one scheme was, and Jackie was to play on the field, and Dixon Walker and other players said they're going to form a walkout. He on the field, he's going by himself. He brought that scheme up for the Knicks, broke it up. But he still faced the hardships of being first black in baseball. At the time, radio was on TV and not internet. News broadcasting system comes every day. Baseball. One day, Dixon walked off him and said, Jack Robinson, you had a good game. They 4-4, so 2 basemen, 1 game, 3-2. But you're still a nigga. You couldn't say a word. That was the deal. Team went south, had to stay in people's houses. In the hotel of the team. That was the crisis of Jack Robinson. Jack Robinson played the first year, he was hit most times. And the whole league had been hit the year before. Jack Robinson paid the price for all of us. First, it was a bunt, but 28 times successful in 1 year. 367, if you will, against those odds. He was a playmaker for the whole country. So if he was successful in baseball, and given how anxious the country was at the time about racism as an official policy, this is 7 years before Pittsburgh's decision. Jackie, in that situation, very important to him in that. Jackie was hit, he played first base. Spiked him intentionally so many times. Spiked him intentionally. His wife, the nurse, had to serve him. Be his nurse every night. She's 100 years old now, Richard Robinson. Get Richard began. So Jackie, because he was successful, football was successful. George Hallis and Marshall from Washington, Meyer from New York, Rooney from Pittsburgh, Dyson alone played in the NFL, follow them out. Ken Washington brand, Jackie NFL, UCLA, All-American couldn't be drafted. So his success meant football break in 1948, the year after 47. Let's consider the NBA. Celebrate their 75th anniversary this year, but with Black's 72nd anniversary. What happened there was the Minneapolis Lakers won the World Series of basketball 2 years in a row. Each year they became champions led by George Mikan. Each separate game they played the Harlem Globetrotters, the clowns of basketball, if you will. See Georgia Brown and all that stuff. They beat the Minneapolis Lakers twice, 49. In 1950, you had Earl Lloyd, Syracuse. Jack Robinson laid the foundation for all the football, basketball, all 3 sports on the jacket. He led the cultural transformation of our nation. That's baseball for you at its best. In that tradition, there are some owners care enough to move beyond the playing field to give people opportunities and hope. What about Tom Ricketts is here today? Tom is a country boy. Came from North and did well. Athletics, owns Chicago Cubs. When the big controversy last year was about a black coach playing football, black football, a lot of issue because as a coach, all his successful records. Beyond the ball field, the procurement budgets, they buy prosecution services. We're talking about today because Caldwell, during this issue, he went to the White Sox to let me clean the uniforms. The Randolph tested his chemical out. He had the right chemical combination. As a Spanish company, he's now cleaning the uniform for the White Sox. All business taking some Joe Caldwell. Tell him right forward. In a big hand, your uniform to clean now. My daughter sent teachers a really. One is that baseball, a given team, they use artists for advertising, radio and TV. I was on Prime Minister. We see the Bears, 65 players. No black restaurants supplying they eat pizzas. Then they run a rip on cornbread and biscuits. We have a right. 65 of us. Cornbread and biscuits. Not just biscuits, not just pizzas. One is that the baseball team, the teams have all these services to procure. So Tom Ricketts has the spirit of that in the baseball beyond the playing field. The reason why Ernie Banks has a statue today, Tom Ricketts part of that. We went to the board meeting at the Tribune. Probably because we were sitting and talking to him one day at the Customer Relations office. And he was crying. That's why Ernie Banks crying. He had brought a tremendous award to honor his third baseman, Santo. And they told him they didn't have time to him to present Santo the award. So he was brokenhearted. And this is the radio said they had 30 minutes left over. They just talked, filling in space. So we had a long journey. Ricketts, all that you mean to baseball and to us, as you set the pace for the rest of the athletic industry. I want to thank you to give you a special award. On your feet, on your feet, on your feet.
Reverend Jackson, thank you so much. Appreciate it. And that is a perfect way to lead into our keynote speaker for the afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, Tom Ricketts is the executive chairman of the Chicago Cubs and a longtime fan of the team. In 2009, he led his family's acquisition of the team from the Tribune Company. When Tom and his family were introduced as the new owners of the Cubs, he outlined 3 goals for the organization: win the World Series, preserve and improve Wrigley Field for future generations, and to be good neighbors, giving back to the city and to the team's North Side neighborhood. Chicago Cubs won the World Series in 2016 and were named by Baseball America as the 2016 Organization of the Year. Tom, that deserves a round of applause. Mr. Ricketts is on the Executive Council of Major League Baseball. He is also the chairman of In Capital LLC, which he co-founded in 1999. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Tom Ricketts.
Thanks, Stefan. You know, and I should add to my list of accomplishments, I've watched a fair amount of baseball with Reverend Jackson. Comes to Wrigley pretty often, and obviously I spent a lot of time with his sons. So, it's really an honor to be here today. As Stefan said, you know, we laid out 3 goals when we bought the team 12 years ago. The first goal was to win the World Series, and as some of you might remember, it was a pretty long time before we won the last time the Cubs won the World Series. In fact, the Cubs didn't win the World Series from 1908 to 2016, which is a remarkable record given that for many of those years, there was only about 10 baseball teams. But the thing that was most amazing to me as I walked around those first early days of the ballpark, people would come up to me all the time and we'd have a lot of conversations. And one very typical conversation would be, Mr. Ricketts, I want you to know that I'm 71 years old. Please win the World Series before I die. To which I would reply, okay, you're 71, I get that. Do you eat right? Do you take care of yourself? Do you exercise? Just how much time do you think we have for this project? Or I also get people coming up to me, hey, Ricketts, why is it $5 for a Pepsi? To which I always reply, why is it $20 million for a starting pitcher? So, anyway, so with respect to our first goal, obviously we achieved it in 2016. My only real regret now is not having a ring as big as the Milwaukee Bucks ring. So, anyway, our second goal was to preserve and improve Wrigley Field. Wrigley Field was built in 1914, initially for about $200,000 in about 9 weeks. And once we started the renovations, it looked like a ballpark that was built for $200,000 in about 9 weeks. But we fixed it all up, and now all the investments we've made, it's now a modern ballpark that is the ballpark that your grandfather would recognize. So we're very proud of that. But the third thing that we set out to do was to do more for our community and to be a good neighbor. One of the things I said on the very first day that to all the people that work at the Cubs, I said, look, you know, we are not the Wrigleyville Cubs. We are not the Northside Cubs. We are the Chicago Cubs. And along those lines, we've done an incredible amount to do more for our community. And I thought I would just talk a little bit about that first, and then I'll go into a little bit of the business of sport, which is our topic today. And the Cubs, over the years, we've made a significant impact on diversity, equity, and inclusion through many of our charitable efforts and support of diverse enterprises. We've supported diverse organizations and initiatives. We've invested in program and community sites to support underserved communities across Chicago, including the Pullman Community Center in Roseland, Lindblom Park in West Englewood, La Villita Park in Little Village, all those through our Diamond Project program. And in fact, since 2014, our Diamond Project program has given more than $10.8 million to fund 103 capital improvement projects and grants to 79 youth baseball and software programs and organizations throughout the city. And as you might imagine, most of those have gone to fund baseball and softball projects on the south and west sides. We have also amplified the work of our diverse organizations and initiatives, including working with Rainbow Push Coalition, of course, Chicago Defender Charities, Council on Islamic Organizations of Greater Chicago, Pride Parade, United Negro College Fund, and the Black Ensemble Theater. We have also invested in youth programs that aim to build the next generation of diverse leaders. Case, Career as a Sports Executive, a sports executive program for diverse high school sophomores and juniors. The program started on the south side in Kenwood and Hyde Park High School. Students participate in a series of workshops led by subject matter experts to improve their chance of getting a job one day in the sports industry. The second one is Cubs Scholars. We offer financial support and team-sponsored mentorship programs to diverse high-potential high school students in Chicago with a demonstrated need. Since 2013, we have supported 22 scholars. 85% of the students have been people of color, each receiving $20,000 scholarships and $20,000 upon enrollment to the university. And we're not quite ready to completely announce it, but we look forward to our largest initiative yet, to build a baseball academy in Chicago that we think will be the most ambitious effort ever by any sports team in the United States. But along the lines of business, we've also engaged diverse business enterprises. As part of our investment to renovate and expand Wrigley Field, it was important to us to have contractors work on the project who reflected our community. We voluntarily awarded nearly $100 million in contracts to diverse and women-owned businesses. Approximately 35% of our workforce was diverse. We've made the same commitment to diversity and inclusion at the new Wrigley Field Sportsbook, which is now being built. We have committed to reaching a goal of 26% MBE and 6% WBE and are well on our way to achieving those goals as we speak. Yesterday, as part of our Juneteenth celebration at Wrigley Field, we hosted a first ever Black entrepreneurs experience featuring 24 small Black businesses and small business owners from across Chicago who set up shop on Gallagher Way, which is the plaza right outside the ballpark, to sell their products to our fans. Many of these owners, it was a great thing. It was, by the way, it was all Julian's idea, so thank him. Many of these owners never would have had access to selling their products at a pro ballpark ever. So leveraging our platform, we were able to connect these businesses to potentially new customers by providing increased exposure and potentially help them build their businesses now. Finally, we also note that we have a very thoughtful DEI strategic focus now at the Cubs. As an organization, we've been exploring ways to deepen our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion in our entire organization. We've recently developed an organizational diversity, equity, and inclusion strategy and identified 5 key areas of focus: people, culture, marketplace, community, and suppliers. We created a new role, Senior Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, which will be responsible for leading the execution of the strategy, providing subject matter expertise and guidance to integrate DEI practices across the organization. The role will be filled by Assistant General Counsel Shamika Qualo of Cubs. We launched the Diversity Hiring Initiative with a focus on attracting and hiring diverse talent and expanding our connections for sourcing to include diverse career advancement organizations, recruiting partnerships, and dynamic sourcing avenues. In 2020, we formed a DEI council to engage our associates in opportunities to design, lead, and participate in DEI initiatives. The DEI Council has helped develop educational programming and activities around historical and cultural holidays, such moments as Juneteenth yesterday, Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Day, Mental Health Awareness Month, and Women's History Month. And in fact, for our very first Cubs Juneteenth celebration, the guest speaker was none other than the Reverend Jesse Jackson himself. And also, we're very proud of some of our high-profile hirings. Beth Mowens this year became the first woman in Cubs history to serve as play-by-play announcer, making her debut at spring training on March 20th and calling her first regular season game on May 8th. And Jeremiah Paprocki was hired to be the new PA announcer, the first African-American to hold that position in team history and one of the youngest in all of Major League Baseball. And he's doing an excellent job. So we're very, very proud of everything we've done on the north side, up on the Cubs, to not only become a better team on the field, but become a better organization off the field. And you know, I just want to do a special shout out to one of the people that have led that more than anyone else, and that's our own Julian Green, who's with us today. But finally, you know, today we're here to talk about, I know the topic of the conference is economic opportunities in sports, and there are a lot of economic opportunities in sports. It's a growing business. It's becoming a business that is really more than just a hobby for wealthy individuals. It's become a real asset class, and it grows every day. And when you think about sports, it's much more than just what you see on the field. Every time those guys walk on the field, there certainly is a sporting event going on, but behind the scenes, there's the television production, there's the food and beverage going on, there's everything that goes around the stadium, and there's a lot of opportunities, particularly in our case for diverse suppliers, for example, but really just in general, the game day experience is growing as more and more people spend their time on sports, or dollars on sports. But I think the biggest opportunity in sports right now is the way that fans consume their sports day is changing. There was a day when you would take a stadium, you would take it out to the suburbs, you would put it in the middle, you would surround it by parking lots, and the theory was people would park and just walk into the stadium, get back, watch the game, walk back out, get in their cars, and go home. And that stadium would collect all the revenue because basically it would just all seep right in because there was nothing else to do. But the fact is, today's sports consumer doesn't want that anymore. What you're seeing now is that every stadium wants to give you a full day, a full experience. People want to show up early. They want to get lunch. They want to go to the game. They want to go out for dinner afterward. They want to stay for a show. They want to go out for a beer. They're consuming sports different. So anyone that's looking at sports opportunities should be thinking about how people consume their sports day differently. I think two great examples are in this room. Obviously, everything we've done around Wrigley Field. If you haven't been up there lately, please come back and see us. We spent a lot of time and thought and resources to build a game day experience that we think is the best in all of sports, with Gallagher Way, which is a plaza where we host different events all year round, not just for game day, but for community on non-game days. We have a beautiful hotel with nice restaurants in it. It is a very different game day experience than you would have had just a few years ago in Wrigley Field. The other example is, of course, the Milwaukee Bucks and Deer District, which has turned into like the party center of all of Milwaukee. And but it also just underscores the fact that people today want to consume their sports day very differently. I think the other opportunity, particularly for some people in this room, and even one young man I spoke to earlier, the leagues, all the leagues are looking for more representative workforces. And one of the things that every team is challenging themselves to do at the moment is to look for those people that they can bring in to really have the most diverse and productive workforce that we can have. It's been over the years, while sports on the field has always been driven by a pure meritocracy, I think sports off the field can always get better. And so we at the Cubs, and I think everyone else in baseball, as well as the other leagues, are doing what they can to give more opportunities to more kids looking for those kind of jobs. So I'll kind of wrap it up there. I can literally talk all day long about this stuff, but I just want to say that for the last time, it's really a great honor to be invited to a PUSH event. I've known the Reverend for several years now. Like I said, we watched a lot of baseball together, and we've become pretty good friends. And I just want to say to everyone here, thank you, and I hope everyone has a great conference. And I'm just happy I had a chance to be here. Thank you.
Our entrepreneur of the year,
Ladies and gentlemen, Tom Ricketts.
of the year is Joe Caldwell. And C.S. Henderson was our treasurer many years ago on the Maryland Business College at that time. He was a student of his. He said he went to the White Sox office, never in the front office before. They gave him a chance. He just made the best of it. Because his success as a cleaner, officially cleaning clothes for a uniform for the White Sox on visiting teams. He never just expand that operation. By the way, Rivers clubs don't clean their own uniforms, just hand in passing. A big hand for Joe Caldwell, please. Tell the right thing. Tell the right thing. Tell the right thing. Big hand for Joe Caldwell. Tell the right. Tell the right. Tell the right. Tell the right.
Good afternoon. Of course, I'm Joseph Caldwell, and I'm so honored today, and I'm so grateful. I've heard all the speakers talk about Reverend Jackson, and I've probably known him longer than probably anybody in this room. Because I met him when he first came to Chicago. He was a country preacher, and what he said to us was he was a tree shaker, and we were supposed to be the jelly makers. So we worked on that for years to come. We talk about the White Sox, and he was, in 1992, Reverend Jackson was talking about the budget of Major League Baseball. I heard it, Don't know if I understood that I was to be a part of it because at that point I was strictly retail. I'm in the dry cleaning business and tailoring business, as you well know. I didn't see myself as a part of that, but thank God, and talking, Jerry Reinsdorf heard him also. And I got a call one Tuesday morning. And the call was from my architect who had had a meeting with Jerry Reinsdorf, and he was looking for a minority to do the cleaning of the White Sox uniform. I got the call and I asked what team was it. At first, they wouldn't tell me who they were talking about in Major League Baseball team, but they said, would I be interested? And I said, yes, I'd be interested. I talked to them. But as the conversation went on, finally, they got around to introducing me to the purchasing agent. I went down there cold Tuesday morning in February and met with Mike Spadali, who was the purchasing agent. He asked me a simple question: did I think I could do the uniforms? We had been cleaning clothes for 35 years. So we knew how to clean clothes. I said yes. What I didn't know how big the contract was going to be, how much, what was involved. I asked her to look at the uniform to see what it was made of. When I looked at the care label, I realized then that it was a simple thing that we could do. We've been doing it for a long time. But we did have to tool up. And the question then became, as most of you know who deal with corporate America, what was the term of the contract? What was it going to look like? How long was it going to be? When was we going to be able to break even? All these questions had to be answered. And talking to them, they first wanted to give me a one-year contract. This is 1992, ladies and gentlemen. I said no. I didn't want a one-year contract because I couldn't break even at that point. So we negotiated that out. But needless to say, we've been doing it for 30 years now. And I have to thank Reverend Jackson, who had the foresight to know that we could be involved. He knew about us before this contract was negotiated, because we were doing, just a little story about Reverend Jackson. When he first came to town, a guy, really like my Chicago father, a guy named C.S. Henderson, who I graduated from his school, Metropolitan School of Tailoring, introduced me to Reverend Jackson. But what he said to me when he introduced, he said, here's a young man that's smart, but we need to get him dressed up. Joe, I need you to help me keep him dressed. And I said, okay. And from that day forward, Reverend has been a customer of mine. And I'm so proud to say that I'm thankful and grateful to the organization for all it has done. And not only just for me, because remember when they opened the doors, when I opened the door to the White Sox, the first minority vendor for cleaning uniforms, it opened the doors for a lot of other minority vendors. And that's what's important. That's very important. So, because I remember Mike asking me to give him some names of other minority businessmen and women after I got in. After they found out, a quick story about it though, the first 6 months doing the uniforms, I was so afraid that if we made a mistake, if we didn't do these uniforms well, it was going to reflect on the entire minority community. So I was very cautious about that. I was there day and night watching it, making sure that every stitch was in place, all the spots were out. All these things had to be taken care of. So for the first 6 months, And after 6 months over, I went to Reverend Jackson, told him I got the contract. I wanted him to know that then because I really didn't publicize it then. Before then, if I made a mistake, I tell you, I was shaking in my boots. But I do think Reverend Jackson having the foresight, seeing in me, and seeing in my organization, and the South Side, because, you know, the Chatham Business Association is a part of what Reverend Jackson was doing. We had our members join with them to make sure that we got our fair share. So that's been a very positive, and Reverend would come out and meet with us, talk with us, and help us. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's give it up one more time for Mr. Caldwell. Wasn't that a wonderful story? 30-year journey of success now. He is one of our honorees here today, and we want to, again, thank you for what you have meant to our community. As you said, you have been a pillar because you set an example for businesses that can work with professional teams, and you have held that standard with excellence, and we thank you. Let's give him another hand. We have two other honorees that we're going to ask to come out to join Mr. Caldwell. We're going to stand them right across the stage. You've heard from both of them as they come out. Would you give another hand of appreciation and love for Dr. Valerie Daniels-Carter? And for our keynote speaker, Mr. Tom Ricketts. I'm going to invite to join me here on stage our Vice President and CEO, who is doing a phenomenal job providing the kind of insight and leadership he can as a preacher, lawyer, organizer extraordinaire, Mr. S. Todd Geary, Esquire.
Joe, one of the friends who made my work possible was Dr. King. He represents SCLC. I came out of SCLC 50 years ago. President of SCLC is Mr. Steele. Mr. Steele. Come share a word with us. I'm scared we're going to get you. It doesn't work together right now. On cooperation is not doing the right thing. Big hand for Mr. Steele.
Thank you, Reverend Jackson. I'm president of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference and been for 16 years. Had it not been Reverend Jackson, I could not have made it. He's always been there for SCLC, as well as myself. And as you know, it's a tough job. Reverend Jackson is currently working with me on a project. I won't get into the specifics, but we're going to resolve it. It is dealing with economic development. And I was speaking to the 100 black men in Hollywood, Florida, the day before yesterday. And I was telling them that in order to be in politics and business, you have to be courageous. You have to stand up. And I remember someone saying that with the legal system and the ramification of racism that we have experienced, you don't argue what's legal. You argue what's right. Courage. Many of our folks are not courageous enough to call it what it is. Racism is a virus. It's a virus, just like COVID-19. As I sit with Marcus Arbery and his two sisters, that's courageousness in its own right. I appreciate the courageousness of what this family has done. Give him a big round of applause. Thank you, Reverend. Thank you so much. Reverend Jackson, whenever he helped me to speak, when I'm talking about courageousness, he would never let me finish with telling you that I don't fool with no scared Negroes. Because a scared Negro will get you killed. Thank you so much.
We're going to close out our program. I'm going to ask our two board chairs to come and stand alongside Reverend Jackson, Attorney C.K. Hoffler, along with Mr. John Graves. And we're going to have our awardees come stand with Reverend. Reverend, you have one more comment that you want to make and share before we dismiss?
Sure.
Yes.
In addition to the Aubrey family, Sonny Day was killed. He was a student at Illinois State University. He was killed. It seems to me that the kind of attention it deserved has not gotten. Certainly getting served told. Yolanda Day, the mother, Doug, give him a big hand. Thank you, sister. Lucille. Lucille, Okay, John, my move. You said that you do. It's okay. See you. Let me say while I get this together, please hit me now. Please hit me now. Somebody's talking. Don't talk, please. We're about to go into the session now. That says about Runwire. Goblin and Natasha and friends. For voting rights. All rights we have preserved by the right to vote. The rights act is a severe threat. They can take it back. The Supreme Court will move on white women essentially on the issue of Roe v. Wade, who will never run the right. We have an obligation to fight back. Bob Brown is leading that fight. Bob Brown, a big hand, won't you please? A big hand for Bob Brown. Yourself. So, Barbara, the session is across the hall, right, Jeanette? Oh, this is the building, right?
It's right in the back. Right down.
While we're waiting for the next session, we would like you to visit the vendors. We have some art from South Africa, and you don't want to miss it. It is allows us to support South African residents who really need our financial support. So you look at the art, if you can buy some to take home with you. The next session will be all the way at the opposite end of the building, okay? And you don't want to miss this one. It is on voting rights, rather. And then after that, reparations. And then after that, a reception. For the Ivory family.
Congo, Brother Simon, Congo. Send your hands to our prayer. Send your hands to our prayer. Here's this our prayer. Lord God, through your people, give us more fit for the fight. Give us better, never bitter. This is within us. Proud City King, whenever the plan for this evening, for the votes that were fair and full transparent, we can always make it. And then end up in life, well, our life be more like a baseball field. Equal just all the bases. If I had a chance to win sometimes, lose sometimes, to win every time. It's life on the line, and thank you, God. If without the King of those commands and fix Christ, make me say possible, amen. Thank you.
Thank you all. God bless.
God bless.